Okay, welcome to another edition of the Frontend Coffee Break. I think this is episode 21, the 21st episode. This is a podcast where we take a break from everyday things and just grab a cup of coffee and discuss a little bit about front-end related topics. And well, as always, I have my colleague, Ricard. Hello and welcome.
Hey, Chucha, welcome back. After the summer break, we are back.
Yes, I hope that you had a nice summer break.
Yeah, working, but yes, very good.
In my case, most of the time working, although I took a few days off and back re-energized and ready to continue working on this fantastic coffee break. And I don't know if you're having a drink today. I am with it's not coffee with milk, but it's more milk with a bit of coffee. So that's what I'm trying today.
Yeah, no, I'm dry right now, but let's see what the afternoon brings.
Great. So today we have a very interesting topic. I think this is something that has been asked a couple of times. You mentioned during the last discussion we had about topics that it was something that has been asked from you, which is basically, and it happened to me as well, especially in the last mentorship program that we have been working internally. They have asked, how do we find time for career development, or how do we find time to do additional things, the additional things that we usually do for the company, which, for example, includes the podcast and such. And if you work, while still delivering the amount of work that we have to deliver, that it's expected.
It's easy, Chucha. You just have to work 16 hours a day.
Only, oh my goodness.
80 a week or 60 a week, it's fine.
Well, okay, let's rephrase this. How do we find a way to have time for career development or do additional stuff other than development, for example, while maintaining a 40-hour work week?
Well, there's no easy answer. There's no possibly a black and white answer. Where do we begin?
Well, first of all, I think that, as you say, there is no... I agree that there is no black or white thing. I think it's something that, depending on each person, it works for you. I mean, there's different ways of doing it. And it would be nice to discuss or to share a little bit about how you do it, how I do it. Maybe this would work for someone. And then at the end, if anyone has ideas or comments for it, we would love to read them and comment them. But I think that we could begin on I think that it all depends on resource and time management.
Okay.
In the end, time is a resource, and also your time is a resource, and we have access to several resources, and I think that would be the trick. So let's go through different bullet points that we've talked about, and let's begin with one of them, which is very interesting, especially I think, at least for me, it has become more visible. I've been more aware of it after the pandemic, which is basically how to work asynchronously or asynchronous working. So what would you have to say about this part? I mean, definitely learning how to work asynchronously should help you get more time to work on, to get things done and to work on other stuff. So
work async successfully. Maybe you work successfully and it doesn't work. Yeah, I mean, you have experience, me as well, working with different time zones or different countries, different offices. So it's something that you gotta be good at or learn how to do. Find your own tricks, find whatever works for your team or your company or your setup. I mean, everybody has different tools and different organization, whatever. In my case, I mean, one of the most important things is knowing, not blocking other people. So if we'll know the phrase this meeting could have been an email. In our modern stack, this is concurrent and agentic, we use Slack. So it will be, this call could have been a Slack thread or a Slack message. And whenever I write in Slack, I always try to be over communicative. I mean, not writing just yes or no, or just writing, how are you? That's, for it's a no-go, you gotta, write a lot, write with bullet points, write with links to documentation, something that will give the other person at their own leisure, at their own time to digest and just get back to you whenever they can, right? Because I know that other people's time is very precious, as you said before, and I don't want just to, block a 1 hour slot in your 8-hour calendar, and which is already an eighth of the day, just to something that you could answer me later, or maybe you just work until 7, I work until 5. So you will do it when I'm not here. And in the morning, I'll have my answer.
I think that this is very important. And as I said, when for me, it became more important after the pandemic, because we suddenly were forced to work from home. And then you had the environment completely changed, that work dynamic completely changed. Because, for example, I used to sometimes have a question for someone, and I would just stand up, walk to that person's place, and would say, "Hi, I have a question for you." And usually I would get, I don't know if that person would be busy or not, but they usually would. I would usually interrupt the person.
They don't care. I mean, if you think about it right now in terms of remote, it's really like, how to say it? I don't know, aggressive or very like intrusive, that you just walk up to someone and say, "Hey, can you stop doing what you're doing, whatever it is, and attend to my needs?" So it's the same as when, I don't know what happens to you. There's always one or two people in your project or inner circle that they call you directly in Slack. And it's very, wow, a phone call. Like, what is this, right? So I have to stop what I'm doing and answer you. Usually the things I tend to, they're not super urgent. So dropping me a message, either DM or, pinging me with my handle in a public channel, you will get my attention eventually. If it's not right now because I'm doing something that I need to just finish, let me finish typing, and then I answer. So yeah.
And this is precisely one of the big changes. Now, we should embrace asynchronous work. I mean, even if we're in the office, we should embrace asynchronous work. Like, for example, sending a message, "Hey, I need you, and please inform me when you will be available so I can go and talk to you directly," because maybe it's going to be faster if we do it this way. But it's important to embrace the asynchronous work, and important to be mindful about other people's work, and therefore use the messages not by saying "hi" and waiting for the other one to answer. No, it's like, "Hi, I would like to ask you," and then use the one phrase to be as informative as you can. Just as you said, that person will have the time to sit down, look at it, and say, "Okay, think about it," and then get back to you whenever they are available. But it is important to embrace this and this type of workflow, to know that you can just leave messages there and they will get back to you whenever they can. For example, we have. I've never heard of this before in other companies because, I've been I think that next week is going to be, this week, tomorrow, I think it's going to be 9 years
Today.
that I've been, no, it's tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to be 9 years since I've been here.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we have this status in Slack, which is, we call focus time, which basically it's like, please don't bother me. I remember we had it back in the office, and currently I still use it. But for me, the focus time means, write whatever you do, I'm not going to answer immediately. I'll get back to you whenever I can. And actually, this includes, I think, not only Slack messages, but it should include email. It should include other forms of communication. And what I usually do in this case is when I don't want to answer because I want to be focused, I usually set up like in my mind, okay, at this time of the day, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to look at messages, see if there's anything urgent, and then answer back.
Yeah, usually I don't usually use much the focus time. But whenever I'm really focused, I don't look at the Slack, but then I see the messages. If there's something like very big that I need to attend, like that takes a lot of time to process, I might just answer, "Hey, I'm going to look at this, not today, but maybe tomorrow." And then I just add myself in a Slack reminder for later automatically to tomorrow I'll get the notification. But some people don't do that. Some people just message them, and then 24 hours or 48 hours, they just treatment silence treatment. And it's, come on.
Ghosting you.
Yeah, exactly. In the office.
Evil people. But that's something that I don't use, the reminders, the Slack reminders. I usually just type a little bit of text, and then I see a list of
drafts.
The drafts. Yes, that's how I work.
Interesting.
Yes.
But then you don't let the other people know that you've the double tick in WhatsApp or iMessage that you've read it. Okay, I've received it. I've read it. I don't have time now, but I'll get to you as soon as possible. Okay, it's different styles. I think both work fine. I just want to murder people when they don't answer me in due course, not in 1 minute, but maybe in a few hours, right? So
one important thing that you mentioned, and I think that we have to make emphasis on: do not call people unless they've asked you to call them. It's horrible.
It's horrible. But I have my somebody in the project. They know they do this, and I just laugh when they do it because their face pops in my screen, and it's like, oh my god, what's happening? Hey, hi, hey, what's going on? usually it's important. It's not for trivial stuff. It's usually urgent stuff. So that's fine. The red phone on the president's table. Same thing.
Yes.
Same thing.
So now let's close on this asynchronous topic, which basically the summary is learn how to work asynchronously because it will make more efficient use of your time. Now we were mentioning Slack as a tool that we use to communicate, and there's other tools that we can use to organize ourselves the time. As I said, it's all about time management. So what tools do you use to organize your day or to organize your work?
I mean, the most important gotta be the calendar, whatever it is, Google Calendar, iCalendar, I don't know, or whatever setup you use. But definitely, one of the tricks I've started to use a few months back, it's blocking my own slots. Like I know I have my lunch slot blocked already in the calendar, or maybe if I see that I already have 3 meetings in the morning, I'm gonna block a big fat slot in the afternoon just to to get things done, right? Otherwise, the people they keep sending me invites because they see a free slot and they take it. Oh.
This is something that I've also been doing for some time now, not long, but I learned how to do that. The importance of the calendar. Now, once again, we are working remotely, most of us. Even if you're not working remotely, you usually are working with people that might not be in the same office. You might be in the office, but they might not be in the same office. And the way to know what that person is doing is not by looking over the screen and see, hey, I see that person just went for a coffee, but to look into their calendar, to see where the available spots. And usually when you find an open spot, you hey. And because of this, I do precisely the same thing as you. I have my lunch hours blocked, but I've also have, for example, when I know that I need to do focus time, like real focus time, because I need to finish something, I block that in my calendar. Like, okay, this is focus time, and I put it just like focus time. That's it. It's like there's no way that I'm going to write back to you or to get back to you there. I mean, it has to be.
But Chucho, what happens when they send you an invite on your focus time? What do you do?
Well, you can choose. You can configure your focus time to basically just reject.
Ignore. Okay. Let us say. Okay. Let us approach differently. Let's say you have the Slack slot blocked in your calendar, but somebody approaches you in a Slack or whatever the Teams, and they say, "Hey, could we meet at 4:30?" But 4:30 was already blocked in your calendar. How do you approach? Do you say yes? Do you say no?
It depends a lot on the context. In my first reaction would be, let's consider how important what they want me to talk about is. Because, of course, I know I have control of what the work that I'm doing. I know how important the work that I'm doing it is. And I first would need to see, okay, so why are you approaching? Because you need to talk about a topic that is important. Maybe we have to have it discuss it today. Then definitely I'll try to make the space. But if it's something like, I don't know, let's discuss about what we're going to work on in 2 sprints. It's like, I cannot do it. How about you?
No, a perfect answer. I mean, definitely, you got to first gauge if the priority, what it is it's urgent, is it like blocking you? If it's something that you cannot continue working on, let's do it. Otherwise, we'll push it for tomorrow or next week.
I love this. And as you said, if it's something that it's blocking your work and there's no other work that you can do, of course you have to, or it's nice if you take the time, but if it's not, it's like, okay, let's discuss about this later. Another thing that I used to do, another tool that I used to do is paper. I actually have a small pad here, electronic pad, that I change the paper for, but I have a small electronic tab where I start writing the to-dos, the things that I need to do in that day. Why? Because I need to have something visible in my desk in order to know that I need to work on this. Not only the calendar, because that's something that I use, but I like to use that and Post-its. I have Post-its around my desk and I place them on the screen.
That's awesome. I was going to shame you for saying paper when it's actually digital, but I saw the Post-its, so that's fine. I'll allow it. It's paper.
I have a couple of Post-its that have been on my desk, I must say, for months.
Jesus. It looks like it's a 3 1/4 disc, no? The old discs. Wow, amazing.
Yes,
amazing. If you're just listening, go to the video option on YouTube to see to just Post-its. Yeah, paper. I have also used paper. I just go on and off with paper. I have my notepad and a fountain pen. I love fountain pens. But then I say, but then if I had this digitally, maybe it's easier. But when you write down, it's like in my memory, you get it more like fortune with fire and blood in your memory when you write down with paper. but then it's a big thing on my desk. I don't know. I never find the perfect balance. It's hard.
How many to-do lists have you started in different platforms and such?
Yeah, but I even like code my own to-do software in the past because I thought let's do it, but then I don't like them. I don't like to-do lists. I'm very much a power user of like reminders, calendars, and yeah, that's pretty much all I need really.
I have a lot of to-do lists that at the end they're everywhere, and I always say, oh, I'm going to use this, I'm going to remind me this about this and such, and I never end up doing it. The things that have been working for me, it's besides the ones that I've showed, I use Sublime, for example, for text taking notes, and I just keep on adding tabs, and eventually by the end of the week I go to Sublime, I look at the tabs, and I start closing them and organizing myself based on the notes that I took.
Tabs, a tab hoarder. So you probably have 20 tabs or 30 tabs in your Chrome, no?
No. Okay. I hate tabs in Chrome. I try to have the minimum amount. Okay. And if I have a tab open for more than a few days, I just bookmark it and close it. It's like, okay.
Goodbye.
Yes. Now, this is regarding tools, and we've talked about organization, asynchronous working with the calendar and such, which basically is just how to manage your time. But I think there's a very important topic regarding on how to get more time to get things done, and it's one of the hardest things that I think we learn to do eventually, which is delegating.
You mean outsourcing?
Okay, we can call it outsourcing, not in the I'm outsourcing my work to someone at the other side of the world and asking them to do.
You never know. Okay, no, it's really delegate is super hard. I think. It depends on the personality, but I think it's hard because you gotta trust your team, you gotta trust your colleagues that they're gonna do like the level of expectation that you have, right? They have to meet them, right? So it's not easy, but if you do it correctly or you have a great team you can rely on, it's super powerful because it frees you from so much stuff, right?
It does. And this is something that you need to learn to do. Even it doesn't matter in which grade or which progression of your career you are, you need to learn how to delegate everything. Not everything, but you need to learn how to delegate. The first time that I delegated or tried to delegate, it was very hard for me because I've always like, this has to be done, but I have an idea of how it needs to be done, and I think it should be done like that, and I don't want anyone else to do it because I know exactly what I want. But then you just need to learn, like, it's nice that you know how it has to be done, but let someone else do it for two things. One, for their own personal growth, help others, empower others for them to grow. And two, because this will give you time to do other stuff that might be more important or more or you could be the best person to do those stuff. And it is super hard to learn how to do this. And it's taken me years, and still today, sometimes there's work to be done that I don't want people to take because I want to do it, because I know how to do it. And then eventually it's like, no, Chicho, think about it. Let that person do it.
It's a tough one. Sometimes it works great. Like you have a colleague that you can really trust and they just do it the way that's supposed to be in your project, the way you've outlined your standards or guidelines so that they follow whatever it is. Even if you don't spell out how to code it or how to find a solution, they will just find it the way. And then, programming, there's always different ways to do it. More performance, less performance, whatever. But sometimes it also backfires. Like when you hand over something to someone, and then they keep getting it wrong or like really wrong, and then you don't improve the PR, and that's a refactor, and then you waste more time. And then it could be in some scenarios that you really waste more time than if you did it yourself. So,
okay.
I'm not saying not to delegate, but I'm not saying it's also like a silver bullet that yes, delegate and everything will be magically solved. Sometimes it doesn't. If the person is really junior and you hand over something complicated, to which a learning experience, maybe you end up spending more time coaching and mentoring.
And this is something that you realize when you start leading and a team, that you spend a lot of time mentoring, coaching, but the one thing that I tell when I have a team that I work with is that and they sometimes tell me, hey, I don't want to ask you because I don't want to take time from you. So sorry, but I tell them, no, take as much time from me as you want because I want you to learn so that then eventually in the future you don't take time from me away.
Yeah, it's an investment, right? And for yourself and the project, definitely.
It is an investment. So if anyone gets in that position, as you say, sometimes yes, you have to. I've done it once or twice or more. But not that often, that you are very close to a delivery it is just simply not getting done. And what I do is that I finish working the changing the code sometimes, but then I take the time to sit down with that person and explain the things that I did, because it is not good enough that you change it. Yes, okay, you have a time restriction, fine, but then you need to make sure that the other person learns from that.
Yeah, very good. I mean, even if it's like, deadline, release, production, go live, we got to do it. Let's just watch me. Like maybe pair programming, just, do a call with them, share a screen, just, follow me along. And
that's something that I haven't thought about, but that could be something to do.
I mean, sometimes, I do it in the project. I mean, maybe they just, don't know how to do it, and they can either share the screen, but then it annoys me because, click here, go there, and do this shortcut, do that shortcut. And I'm always, I'm the shortcut master, and I try to, select multiple lines, and I get nervous when people don't do that. So sometimes it's the reverse. Let me share my screen and how I would do it. And if they tell me slow down, I will slow down. Otherwise, full speed ahead.
But in the end, you get things done. Right?
Yes. As long as they learn, and I think that's the goal, right? Okay, so you delegate because then, of course, you free your own calendar of meetings that you don't really have to be there, because all people can do it for you. And again, it's a balance of, okay, you have the role, you're getting paid for that role, so it's like don't like just hand over the not cool stuff. I think when you delegate, you also have to delegate cool stuff.
I agree.
Right? So it's not like, now go to that meeting to talk to the client or talk to that other person who's very annoying. No, just, those are fine. You have to also delegate maybe those. But also, when you get a nice requirement, like implement this new tool, this new stack, something, maybe it's time to also give it to them, right?
Yeah, and this is something as well. Once again, it's hard, but it's something that we need to learn how to do, especially because it is, once again, more time on your hands to do other stuff that might be more important, and that you might be the best person to do it, or maybe it could be beneficial for your. We'll get to that, to your growth. And this is something that you mentioned that sometimes is not taken into account or in consideration, which is meetings. I think that's one of the biggest time wasters in developers'
not
work.
All meetings, to just some meetings.
Some meetings, but definitely. I think that this is something that we don't think about, something that can be delegated. And I think that meetings can be something that can be delegated. For example, demos. If you have something more important to do or something different, you can start coaching the other people to do demos, and then just, okay, you're going to be doing the demo. I won't be attending because I'll be working on other stuff. And the same thing for other meetings. We need to discuss, do a refinement. You can just quickly go for the information that you need to that person. It's like, I trust you, and then we can have a quick catch up. So it's all about managing your time, and sometimes delegating meetings to other people might be a way to, one, introduce them to the world, the beautiful world of meetings, and two, giving you a little bit more time.
As a manager would say, it's a learning experience. Just take the meeting for me. No, I agree with you, definitely. So it happens a lot of times. And maybe they ping me because I'm the lead of the project. But then when I see that something can be done just with one person, with one front end, I just get the more inexperienced people. Just go there, find the requirement, get your analysis, and then report back to me if you need. If not, just move forward, right? Empower yourself and go fly solo.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about other things general stuff to take into consideration. And like, for example, one thing that in order to, once again, manage your time, you need to be good into being able to determine how much time things need to be done, which is, what's the term?
To estimate your work.
Estimation. Sorry, I always forget the term.
You mean crystal balling? Yeah, crystal balling is nice. How else do you do it? I mean, with it's impossible. I mean, it's all based on previous experience and assumptions. But
one thing to manage your time correctly is to be good at estimations, and this is something, a skill that can be hard to obtain sometimes, but it's something that you need to learn. That just because in your mind you think you can do it in an hour doesn't mean it'll get done in an hour. You'll end up doing more work or spending more time doing that work just because you said an hour and you need to finish it and you don't have the time to do it, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. My motto is always like, always overestimate, never underdeliver, right? Yeah. So it's better. I mean, of course, there are ranges, and you will not say for a task that is changing one hex color 3 days. But if something that you're not sure about, you got to add the buffer, because the client then now has the expectation, okay, this is going to take me 3 days. And when you finish in 2, it's fantastic. You gain 1 day, and you tell them, hey, I was faster than I thought. Here's 1 day back to you. So that's a fantastic feeling, rather than, okay, I'm going to estimate 2, because then they'll think it's a cheap requirement, but then I'm going to spend 3, and I'll have to tell them, hey, this was actually more expensive than you thought. So, yeah.
This is the Scotty from Star Trek philosophy. And it was, it's a show. He was always saying, I cannot get it done in less than 5 hours. And then he did it in less. And then eventually in one episode, he says, well, basically just tell your captain that you need double the time that you need to do it, and impress everyone when you do it in less time.
Nice.
Anywho, now all of the things that we've talked about is basically how to get more time, or how to make an efficient use of your time. And this is super important, and this is something that you need to learn. But okay, now you have an efficient use of your time. Now, how do you keep on learning or growing in your career once you have everything like efficiently managed?
Well, I mean, maybe what we do, like knowledge sharing. Knowledge sharing is something that not only helps you as a knowledge giver, but also the knowledge receivers, right?
I definitely think that this is one way of when you get to a point at the beginning of your career, you learn a lot just by doing whatever project you're learning, and they ask you to do stuff, and that's how you learn. But eventually you get to a point that most of the work that you're doing is the work that you've been doing for years, and maybe it's nothing new, and you want to keep on learning new things. And a great way to do it is precisely as you said, knowledge sharing. It's find a way to find reasons to share new topics, to investigate new topics, and share them in your community, inside your company, or even also inside your own project. Sometimes projects, I used to be in projects that we had knowledge sessions, sharing sessions, not every project, but we had projects that once a week, once every 2 weeks, we had 1 hour of knowledge sharing that included, of course, the investigation time. And this was project time. And I think this helped improve the project, and it helped improve your knowledge. And this is the way that you, for example, could say, okay, let's try, I don't know, a new way to work on fonts, a new way to work on images. I don't know, but this is a good way to increase your knowledge.
I don't like public speaking. Why do I need to do a public speaking experience when I don't want to do that? It's the only way for me to grow as a developer.
No. This, of course, I personally think that it's important to know how to do a little bit of public speaking, but there's a lot of people that can be introverts and would have a hard time to do this. There's also ways to share knowledge with articles. Even you don't have to write them. You can even just share them in the channel. We fortunately have a very rich community, Slack community in Cognizant and Centric, in the Frontend Heroes channel, and we constantly see people sharing this kind of links and writing, and it's fantastic.
Or go back to episode 1. You should have a blog and just write a blog. You don't have to public speak. It's public speaking, but it's like, it's your own thing. So get a blog. What else, Joe?
I also, for example, this for me, in the last few years, the way that I've learned the most has to be through the podcasts that we've been doing internally for a couple of years and externally this one. It makes me push myself to investigate a little bit about topics that I have forgotten, or maybe new topics, and I love it. So, and I'm sure that people can find ways to do this. It's like, yes, you have work. That's usually the way that you work. But when you start growing, you need to find time to work efficiently, but also find other ways to learn new stuff. And ways that you can do it is by knowledge sharing, or doing these kind of things that we're doing. And there has to be other internal things that you can do.
Yeah. And I think it's like a client expectation that you always deliver excellence, right? And they want you to be up to date. They want you to be excellent. Whenever they ask for a user story, they want to have the best solution they can be. And to do that, you got to grow yourself. And as a frontend, we all know, next week is going to be a new framework out there. So you got to be in the loop. You got to be learning. And every week, just, you got to save some time to learn new stuff, to get up to date. And I think that's part also of your work. I mean, it doesn't have to be Friday at 8 p.m., but it's got to be, maybe Friday morning. You check in, get a coffee, and read the latest articles. And
this is something that is super important, and this is something that you have to do. I agree. From the beginning of your career, and I guess throughout all, take the time, because it's work. It's at least I think it's work. It's how you learn. It's in the morning when you read your emails, when you get set up everything for work. take some 15 minutes, as you say, sit down, go through your emails, go through everything to set up your working day, and take the time to read a newsletter. I mean, the companies themselves send newsletters, but that means that they expect you to use time to read the newsletters. Look for interesting newsletters, front-end newsletters, look for interesting articles, but have a routine in which you take a coffee break.
Yes.
And learn new stuff.
Listen to podcast on this one in repeat, if you can. Alrighty.
I think that's the topic went a little bit longer than I expected, and I think that there's still a lot of things that we can discuss regarding on how to things that you can do to grow your career. But in summary, I think we can say manage your time efficiently. There's many ways that you can manage your time efficiently, and once you have things well under control, find ways to learn new stuff. Go to new projects. Share knowledge, which is the best way to do it. Do internal knowledge sessions that will help your teams and yourself to keep on growing in your career. And I think it's don't take success for granted.
Beautiful way to end up the episode. If you have any comments or anything, as usual, drop them below. We will answer them. And see you in the next Frontend Coffee Break.
See you in the next coffee break. Bye.